Another weekend of Premier League action is here. Last weekend, 2 scores correct. Man City drawing 1-1 with Liverpool and West Ham beating Burnley 2-1. Glad to get 2 right. Hope we can get more here. Make sure to like and subscribe. There's some brilliant fixtures, so get your predictions down in the comments too. Let's get into our predictions. We kick off with Arsenal v Wolves. Arsenal were very pleased that Man City and Liverpool drew with each other because it meant that they could leapfrog them both and go into first place. It was a very good weekend for them and they're just cruising along at the moment very nicely. Still only lost one league game this season, so they'll be hoping to carry on their strong form here. Wolves will feel very hard done by lately by VAR, but especially against Fulham. 2 penalties given. I'd say only one of them was a penalty, and even that was harsh. Fulham should have really had 2 men sent off. Carlos Vinicius for a headbutt and Tim Ream for giving away a penalty while he was already on a yellow for a clear goal scoring opportunity. Not sure how he didn't get a second yellow there, but Wolves, Gary O'Neill, very honest in his interview after, saying they've lost about 7 points this season from poor VAR decisions. And he is starting to think that VAR might not be the answer. Very mature way to go about it, and I think Wolves will be okay this season, even with the poor decisions going against them. But I do think Arsenal too strong here, so I'll go for them Gunners to win 2-1. Brentford had won 3 in a row, but hit a bit of a stumbling block when they had to face Liverpool and Arsenal, scoring 0 and conceding 4. However, they're up against a Luton side that have been struggling this season, and whilst they've done better than the other sides that came up, Sheffield United and Burnley, I still think away from home they could do with a bit of improvement. There are positive signs, however, from Luton. They picked up their 2nd win last weekend. It was 2-1 against Palace. That was at home, and you've just got a feeling that defensively they're getting better, they're growing into the league a bit more, and it looks like if anyone will survive out of those 3 that came up, it could actually be Luton. I am going to go for them to pick up a point here in a 1-1 draw. Burnley v Sheffield United is a massive fixture. Both sides really struggling, both in the relegation zone at the moment, and both only won 1 game so far. Burnley, they've lost 6 in a row, really struggling. They were 1-0 up against West Ham last weekend, managed to lose in the last 5 minutes. They're just not strong enough defensively. They concede far too many goals to be sustainable, and they need to sort that issue out now, but in January they definitely need some reinforcement. Sheffield United, bit better than Burnley as of late, picked up 4 points in their last 3 games. They did lose 3-1 to Bournemouth, however, and I've got a feeling that Sheffield United will really struggle this season and get relegated, just like I'm thinking about Burnley at the moment. The only difference is I think Burnley do have a bit more quality in their squad. They just need to be better defensively, and that's why I'm going to go for Burnley to win 2-1. Forest v Everton, I think, could be a goal fest. Forest were unbeaten at home before their 3-2 loss against Brighton at the weekend, but again, it was a 3-2, plenty of goals in it, and they are hard to beat at home. However, looking at their home fixtures have played so far, they have had a pretty favourable run, other than the Villa game, which they did win, but some very favourable home fixtures in there. Everton lost their first game since the 10-point deduction, 3-0 to Man United, and the highlights were stolen by Garnacho scoring in the first 5 minutes a brilliant overhead kick, probably the best I have ever seen. And Everton, they have been better away this season. Home, not a happy hunting ground, surprisingly, but away from home, 10 points out of 6 games, they could be up for this, which is why I think there will be plenty of goals. I'm going to go for 5 exactly, but I'm going to back Forest to win 3-2. A brilliant end to Saturday, but with 2 sides that took massive blows in the Champions League this week. Newcastle against Man United. Now we'll start off with Man United. They drew 3-3 with Galatasaray, meaning that they have to beat Bayern Munich to qualify, and even that might be enough, because if Galatasaray or Copenhagen beat the other side, Man United are out regardless. So they are basically out of the Champions League, you'd say. They have been better in the league recently. 3 wins in a row, 3 clean sheets, and a brilliant 3-0 against Everton. So Man United will be very happy with their league form at the moment. Good defensive displays despite injuries, so they'll be happy. Newcastle will not be happy with that awful penalty decision that has pretty much taken them out of the Champions League, or it's given them a massive mountain to climb when the pressure could have been eased massively. A win would have seen them only needing to beat AC Milan to qualify. A draw may have even been enough, because on goal difference, I'm not sure of the points, but it may have meant that on goal difference they were fine. But a win against AC Milan would have secured their fate no matter what into the knockouts. That equaliser from PSG, disgraceful refereeing decision, means that if PSG beat Dortmund, Newcastle can't get Champions League knockout football. Newcastle have been okay in the league recently though. They did lose that game 2-0 to Bournemouth, but bounced back with a brilliant 4-1 win against Chelsea. And I'm going to go for them to get a win here. Alexander Isak's in the side, so they always look better with him. Newcastle to win 3-2. Bournemouth take on Villa, and the Cherries have picked up 3 wins out of their last 4 Premier League games, and 2 in a row against Newcastle and Sheffield United. So Bournemouth are picking up the pieces now, and they're starting to get into a bit of the rhythm. Aston Villa, they have been brilliant at home, won every game. Away from home, they hadn't been great, but a 2-1 win against what can only be described as an injury-hit Spurs means that they are now sitting in the Champions League spots. Villa will be very happy. Emery's done a fantastic job, and I've got to go for Villa to win here 2-1. Chelsea v Brighton is a difficult one to put your finger on, as Chelsea have had 4 4s in their last 3 games, and by that I mean a 4-1 win against Spurs, a 4-all against Man City, and then a 4-1 loss to Newcastle. And it kind of surprises me that after that brilliant performance against City, I know there's been an international break, but to then look like you're not really there against Newcastle was very strange. I don't know what to think of this Chelsea squad at the moment, but they have got quality, and that is undeniable. They just need everything to click, and once it does, I think they will be title challengers. Obviously not this season, but next year or the year after, I think they'll be there under Pochettino. Brighton, they've been decent, 4 undefeated in a row, but 3 of those draws. They did pick up a 3-2 win against Forest last time out, meaning Forest lost their first game at home this season. And again, lots of draws, not sure where to go with them, which is why I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Liverpool take on Fulham, and Liverpool picked up a brilliant 1-1 draw with Man City at the weekend, but they haven't won in 4 away games. However, they're at home here, and they are only one of 2 sides to win every home game this season. 6 out of 6. Brilliant from Liverpool at Anfield. And you've just got a feeling they're going to make it 7. They're up against a Fulham side that, again, hard to get a finger on, but they did get a 3-2 win against Wolves. However, there were some very poor VAR decisions and just ref decisions in general in that game, which makes me think, although they won, is it a true reflection of the performance? Probably not. It was probably a draw type of performance. So I'm going to go for Liverpool to win 3-0. West Ham take on Palace, and West Ham have won 2 league games in a row against Forest and Burnley. Palace lost 4 of their last 5 league games. They're struggling a lot under Hodgson at the moment, so I am going to go for West Ham to win 2-1. And finally, Super Sunday finishes with Man City against Spurs, a fixture that's been great over the seasons, especially at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because Man City really struggle there. But at the Etihad, City do seem to be better. Now, City got a 1-1 draw with Liverpool. They're now not the top side in the league, and you kind of feel in the big games they're never really in control. Drew with Liverpool, a game that they should have won based on the performance. They lost to Arsenal in the league as well. They drew with Chelsea in that 4-4. The big games seem to get to them this season, and they need to get that together, because if they can't beat the sides around them, they are going to struggle to win the league yet again. Spurs, their season's been derailed by all of those injuries and suspensions from the Chelsea game. They've lost 3 in a row. I do feel for them, because I think, they were having a very exciting season and they looked to be a potential challenger. But one thing that everybody highlighted was that their squad was very thin, and if they did get injuries, they would struggle to keep up the levels, which, it's true, it's happened. Bentancur just came back from an ACL and was fouled by Matty Cash and is now out for a couple of months. That is their luck at the moment with injuries, so they're missing so many players. I think that's obviously going to play into City's hands, so I will go for City to win this 3-1. So those are my predictions for these Premier League fixtures. Get yours down below, make sure to like and subscribe, and there's some brilliant games here, so hopefully they provide great entertainment.